I don't know why I do that to y'all every single time. Every single time. I'm so sorry. All right. So all we're doing is we're hanging out and we're just painting for fun. We're just gonna be creative and let things kind of. I've got something here to make circles with because I do plan to make a circle. But other than that, I think I'm just gonna loosely paint some flowers and hang out with y'all. Um, how are y'all? How are y'all doing? It's Sunday afternoon, and we don't normally paint on a Sunday afternoon. Oh, you can hear me now. Good. I don't. I turn the sound off because I get all the techie stuff done early, and I just kind of let it sit there. And when I'm ready to go live, I hit the go button, and then whenever I hit the go button, I forget to actually turn the sound on. So that's always on me. 9 times out of 10, it's on me. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna paint a fun, just not a solid background. Whenever you work with backgrounds, you really want to what's the word? You want to make it sure it's a little broken up. You don't want it to be flat unless that's the look you're going for. But it's one of my pet peeves is to have a flat background. So I'm just going to add some different shade grays, some whites, maybe a little black, maybe a little blue. Okay, we have sound. Hey, I thought I had a broken iPad. No, it's me. I'm the problem. It's like a Taylor Swift song. I'm the problem. It's me. All right, so like I said, I'm just getting my palette ready. I'm a couple minutes early anyway, so we're gonna have some technical difficulties. At least we have some technical difficulties when it's not everybody's not expecting me to be here. All right, so I've got over here on my palette, I've got light gray, dark gray, white. Doesn't matter which grays. Let me see if I have a black, and I have a little bit of black. We're not gonna use a lot of black because remember, if you use black, it can overpower really fast. So when you use black, you just want to use it at the tail end of anything, and just kind of lightly put it in there. All right, I'm going to start with a base coat brush, which is just whatever flat brush you have. Flat brushes make the best base coat brushes. You can also use a sponge if you've got a sponge readily available. I don't want to dirty up a sponge, so we're just going to throw just a nice, not thick, but not thin either. You want it to be kind of damp and workable until you get all the shades on there. So you want to stay a little damp, which means you can incorporate a little water on your brush too, and help thin that paint out, and get some movement in there. We're going to do a solid color of the light gray because I don't want a dark background. I want there to be a nice light background. I can already tell there's going to be a problem with that paint water if I leave it right there where my hand's at. Okay, here we go. All right, so solid color of the light gray. I'm not worrying if it's a solid full coverage coat because remember we're gonna add extra colors to it. So I'm gonna while it's still wet, I'm just gonna dip the corner of my brush in that darker gray. Like I said, it does not matter which color gray that you use. You just want a light, a medium, and either a dark charcoal gray or a black. But if you use black, be very careful to use it at the very end and only use a little. There we go. Now I'm going to throw some white in there because remember, I want this to be nice, light background. I don't want it to be too heavy. Because, like I said, we're going to throw some fun, just free-handed flowers. We're just practicing some strokes. Okay. Okay, now I do think I want just a little bit of black. Now, if you notice, I just put teeny tiny little bit of black there. And I'm going to start off the edge, and I'm just going to kind of work off the edge and work away from me. And that's kind of a little too stark, so I'm going to add a little bit of water to my brush just to kind of thin this out and make the black a little bit more workable. And we're going to do the same thing here. Just a couple of swipes there, and then I'm going to add a little water to my brush. You notice I'm not bringing that black all the way to the center. I'm just concentrating it on the very edges. It creates kind of a Barnwood Effect. Okay, there we go. And we're not really going for barnwood. We're just going for the color variations of it. Let's see. How is Mama and Daddy doing? Well, Daddy's laying in the bed taking a nap, and Mama is probably taking a nap in her hospital room right now. As of right now, everybody's doing just fine. Tomorrow is the big day. We're all a little anxious. I wouldn't say nervous. As serious as all this is, I don't think any of us are. I know I'm not nervous. Mom doesn't seem to be super nervous. She is a little anxious. She's just anticipating, the big dance. But she doesn't seem to be nervous. In the very beginning, she was, but she seems to be handling it pretty well, as serious as the situation is. Okay, so I don't have a blow dryer here with me, so we're gonna have to show some patience and just use what we've got. I'm working with very limited supplies. I'm very, very thankful for some friends that have dropped off some supplies to me, and I was able to sneak away for a little bit to Hobby Lobby right down the road to kind of grab a few things. I did grab a spray bottle, but I forgot to put water in it. But I think I have some water here in the ice pail that if I really needed to, I think I can. All right, we're getting real close to this being dry. We accept all love and prayers. We really do. It's been, hey, Cindy. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Mary. I just realized Mary was here. I think it was Mary's comment that I read, and I didn't realize it was Mary. I made a video for my painting for y'all, and I can't post it in the group. Any suggestions? Let me take a look at that. It may be a setting in the group that I have turned off. I don't know. Whenever I don't tinker with the settings in there too often, and it may be a default setting of post options. I might have to switch the post option up in the group, and then you may be able to post it. Worst case scenario, what I've done before is I've uploaded it to a YouTube. And then I've posted the link of the YouTube video in the group. So, if worst case scenario, you could always do that. All right, still a little damp because my paper is cold, but to the touch. But I'm gonna go ahead and work with that. I'm not too worried about it. All right, let's see if I have. I don't have a pencil. That's one thing I don't have in my. I'm not gonna. I don't know if I'll be able to center that very well. But remember, we don't worry about if things are perfectly centered, right? We're just gonna go with the flow. So I've got this Starbucks coffee thing that's kind of round on the bottom, and it's just about the size. It's just the right size for this paper, for it to not be overpowering it, but it not to be too small either. I'm going to take a liner brush. So just a regular old liner brush. I'm going to dampen it. And I'm going to take some white paint, watered down white paint. I don't necessarily want this to be I don't want it to be a solid drawn line. I'm just loosely getting an idea of where I want my border to be. So I'm not necessarily trying to make it a solid, perfect circle. I just want to make sure I have a good guideline. See, that's it. I'll wipe the bottom of this so that when I set it down, I don't get paint everywhere. Okay. All right, so we have a circle, a very loose circle. You can freehand it if you're comfortable with that. And y'all know me, I'm not one to freehand circles ever. Long time no see. I know, Mary. I've been taking care of my parents lately, specifically my mom. My mom's been super, super sick. She's been in the hospital a little over a month now, and we're finally getting some progress made. I can go a little bit more into detail of that if you'd like, but Hey, Sheila. But that's where I've been. Family just has had to take priority recently, and although I've been able to post a little bit here and there, but I really haven't been able to be present like you're used to seeing me. So, but I'm very thankful for y'all's patience with me. Hopefully, we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, and we'll be able to get back to some normal everyday routine here soon. I'm hoping sooner than later. Let's see. I'm trying to pick a brush. Let's see. Let's try this flat one. Just randomly picking brushes here. Let's see. All right, so we're gonna make some placement for some flowers. Okay, these are gonna be loose, whimsical flowers. We're not really gonna go super detailed with this. Like I said, we are just having fun and kicking back, relaxing. I'm not trying to make them perfect. I'm just putting some white spots down for placement. The way I do placement when it comes to wreaths, and this is kind of the idea of where I'm going, is a wreath. And so I'm going to do a triangle, but I never want to go point, point, point. You never want your triangle to be way up here and a flat base here. You kind of want it to be catty corner. So I'm going to make a point here, a point here. Okay. And a point here. So we're not trying to make a triangle like we're used to seeing in kindergarten, okay? So we're not a perfect up, down, and over. I kind of want it to be kind of on its side, and some of the sides a little longer than others. So this right here is a shorter side. This is a shorter side. This one's kind of longer, and that's going to create some balance. All right. And all those spots do is tell me where I want my big flowers. Now, there may be teeny tiny little flowers here and there, but those are going to be my big flowers. And then after we get those on, leaves just kind of get tucked in there to create a little bit of filler. And other than that, that's pretty much how you lay out a wreath. It really doesn't take a lot of guesswork. It just takes a little bit of planning. So let's see. Do I have brown? Let's see if I have brown. That's not quite a brown. Since I was able to run into a Hobby Lobby for about 10 minutes, I was able to see this Hobby Lobby to see if there was any paints that I haven't seen at my Hobby Lobby. There's a brown. And to see if there's any paints I haven't been able to play with in person, because my Hobby Lobby they get stocked up with certain colors, and I know all Hobby Lobbies are different. They all have different colors that they stock up on. It just depends on what's popular in their area. Since I'm in a different area, I was like, let me take advantage of trying to find some colors that I'm not used to seeing. All right, so I've got a little bit of milk chocolate. There's some water on my brush. I'm just going to pull some of that out. Now I'm going to make an ink. It's like a thick ink. We don't want straight from the bottle paint. We want kind of an inky consistency because we're going to get some scripty vines going on. It's going to create kind of a grapevine. Okay, so I've got my brush completely loaded, and I'm going to twist and pull. Okay. And we are going to just create kind of just wiggles. Okay, I'm going to turn. Remember, turn your work. If you're not in a comfortable angle, don't try to manipulate your arm into fitting where you think your brush should go. Turn your work. That's going to get you a more comfortable flow, and your work will look a lot better. Turn your work, not your arm. Okay. And as I'm grabbing more paint and twisting my brush, I'm picking up a little bit more water because this water is evaporating and soaking into my palette here faster than I can paint. totally do. I'm using very little pressure. And if I want even thinner vines, you use even lighter pressure. The very tip of your brush will be all that touches your workspace. So the thicker the vine, the more pressure you use, but you never, with a liner brush, you never want to go full on pressure. That's full on pressure. Okay. That's 100% pressure. All of the metal of your brush is touching your work. You never want to do that. What you want to do is you want to keep the very tip of your brush being the only thing that touches your workspace. Okay. I'm just filling in and going lighter and lighter on the pressure. You can either go lighter on the pressure or change the color of your paint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of white. We're going to scoop up a little white. So I'm going to scoop up a little bit of my white that's over there, and I'm just going to add it over here. But remember, we want a nice light inky consistency. We don't want anything so thick that it's going to drag. We want it to really flow on our paper. So we're going to go whoop, and this is going to create just some dimension. And it's not going to clash because we created the new brown with the original brown. It's really hard to create a look that doesn't clash by using multiple bottles of paint, like 5 different browns. You really want to make sure those browns are within a color family. So if you use one brown and you deepen it with a darker brown, or you deepen it with black or purple sometimes, or you lighten it with white or lighten it with an off-white, then that keeps it all within the same color family because you're using the same base color. And that way it never clashes. Okay, so we've got our vines going. I'm not too happy with this section right here. We're going to work on this one just a little bit more, and then we'll come back. And then we'll come back and work on our flowers. I just want a really cute base. Okay, that's a little better. I can always throw some leaves on that, and it'll kind of break it up a little bit. Oh, let's see. We finally had, yeah, we're hoping to avoid that for my mom, just because I don't think we're there yet. But if things were to get any worse, we would have to, because she would need round the clock care. But we're at a point where she doesn't need round the clock care, neither does my dad. Not yet. Thank you, Tammy. How's Graham doing being a single dad? He's got a lot of help. Not gonna lie, he's got a lot of help. We have a really good support system back home, and I'm very thankful for that. Very thankful for that. We've got amazing friends, amazing family that are really pitching in and helping out. Okay, so let's vote on some. I'm limited on colors, but I think I have something that represents the entire rainbow. I went through Roy G. Biv whenever I was able to go to Hobby Lobby. So what color should we make our base flowers? And y'all don't have to say purple just because I love purple. Believe me, I can definitely go for some purple flowers, but we can make them any color. Let's see. Should we do pink? Should we do, hey, how are you doing, Carol? Blue. Okay, so Nancy says blue. I think I have 2 blues. I think I have a light blue and a dark blue. But, we can make any blue we want. Oh, and I have, let's see, Terry says hot pink. Hot pink for these hot temperatures. I think we could do some hot pink. Let me see ooh, look at this. This was, okay, so remember when I said that when I went into this Hobby Lobby, let's see. Okay, so Tammy says teal, blue and peach, Hey, Sherry. Sherry, do these brushes look familiar? Sherry brought me my brushes. When I got here, I realized I didn't pack anything to paint. Not a thing. We left in such a hurry that I barely put clothes in my bag. Like, had I not already had a bag packed just for when they said go, I would barely. I don't have pajamas. I had to go to the store yesterday to buy something to sleep in because I got tired of sleeping in day clothes. But I was finally able to buy a nightgown. I like nightgowns, so I was able to buy a nightgown. All right, so I'm gonna go with hot pink just right now. We may throw some other colors in there. Peach sounds really fun. I don't know if I have a true peach, but ooh, how pretty is this? This is kind of a muted version of this. This is strawberry. This is something that's not, I can't get at home. This is a new to me color. So I went ahead and picked this up. I was able to pick up a handful of paints just to have fun with. And then I was able to find me a water bottle. So y'all know me, I can't live without my water bottle. And Sherry pretty much loaded me up with everything else I needed. Sherry was real sweet to drop off a care package so that I can paint with y'all whenever I find time this week. All right, so here we go. Let's get some loose flowers in there. So this is strawberry, like I said, new to me color. So I don't know how it acts. So, and I will say it's a little translucent, but it's okay. We're going to work with it. We're just making a blob. Okay. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Let me see if I can get my hand out of the way so you can see the motion that I'm doing. I'm going wiggle, 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 wiggle. And then I find another spot, wiggle, 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 wiggle. And if you notice, I'm not using a whole lot of pressure. And then I fill it in. This is just making that beginning blob. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. I don't want it to be a perfect circle, but I also don't want it to be so oddly shaped that we can't really make a flower out of it. Okay. We're gonna let those dry. Remember, I don't have I have a blow dryer, but it's attached to the wall in the bathroom. So Terry says she's messed with um, strawberry, and she says it's very translucent. I like it though. It's a pretty color. This would definitely be one that we do some shading with. That's a perfect consistency for someone to learn shading with because it's not so thick that you have to really work it down on your angle brush. That right there comes out of the bottle about halfway there to a good shading consistency. It is a very pretty color. I'm a little jealous that y'all have this color down here. Okay. I know. I really like it against this gray. It's bright enough, it's vivid enough that it really pops off of this gray. 4 coats. Okay, so Terry says she uses about 4 coats to get it fully opaque. Nobody tell the hotel that I'm using their hand towels. I can't use paper towels, y'all. It grosses me out. It really does. Okay, so good thing about this technique is you really want your paint to stay wet. It doesn't need to be sopping wet, but it doesn't need to be dry either. It works best. Like I said, these are whimsical flowers. These are super easy flowers. If you struggle with doing realistic flowers, these always end up looking really good. They're more of an impression technique than it is a realistic technique. And when you're having kind of a creative block, it's just really easy for you to grab a mixed media piece of paper and just throw some easy to paint flowers or abstract things just to get your brain in the creative mood. That way when you get up from your project and you go to do whatever you were really forcing yourself to do, like sometimes for me it's designing. So when I'm sitting down with my iPad, I will stare at my iPad wondering what am I going to draw, and I could do that for an hour and not have drawn anything. But if I take a minute, I come and I just sit and paint something super easy and just get something on the paper, it helps my brain kind of kick into that creative mode. And then once I walk away, it's all of a sudden I've kind of switched it into gears, and I've gotten past that block a little bit. Let's see. Mary says, "What area are you in? Can't find the color either." This is the New Orleans area. Don't get me to line. I don't know what I know. There's subsections and all that to know. I just know that we're in the town of New Orleans. All right, I'm gonna go back to. I don't know if I'm not gonna use the liner brush. I'm gonna switch over to a round brush. It's just a round brush. It's about a 4 or 6. It doesn't have numbers on it. No, I'm lying. It does. It's a 6 round. So we're going to take that straight from the bottle strawberry. Hey, Marie. Darn, not close enough for me. So Sherry lived. So out of anybody that I know, Sherry was the closest to me. She's about 45 minutes to an hour away, and bless it, she just drove in the night of, and brought me a little care package, and just the sweetest care package of supplies. She even put painter's tape in there, knowing that there will be a need for painter's tape while I'm here, right? Let's see. Okay, so I've got white, right? So we've got our strawberry here, white here. We're going to ghost out. And when I say ghost out, we're just going to change the color by adding white. A lot of people will say, we're going to thicken it by adding white. Let me show you what happens when you thicken it by adding white. All right. I promise you this new color will paint like a dream versus the straight from the bottle strawberry. But look what's happened. Me thickening it with white changes it so much that you'll never get this. You bought this color because you liked this color, right? But it doesn't work without using 4 coats, according to Terry. And we're going to thicken it by using white. Well, guess what? The bottle that you fell in love with, you'll never get to that color by using white. So just know that's why I call it ghosting it out, because it's not it is thickening it because white is a thicker paint, but you're also changing the color property. You're never going to get that true color right there by adding white. Okay. Off my soapbox, I promise. It drives me crazy when people say let's thicken it by adding white. You're thickening it, yes, but you're also changing the color, and it's just, I don't know. It drives me crazy. All right, so we're going to throw some 3s and E's in parentheses and commas, okay? So let me show you what I mean by 3s, E's, parentheses, and commas. So you see these blobs? These right here, I haven't touched them yet, but I put 1 layer of an accent color, which is our ghosted out white, and it's already taking shape of a flower. It's a very loose, whimsical flower, very fun to paint. But these are the 3s, the E's, the parentheses. See, that kind of looks like a 3. And then I came over here and I did the same stroke but backwards, so a 3. So you know how when you write a 3, let me see if I can do it on my palette, like this. So you got your 3. Well, you know the cursive E, parentheses, and commas. Okay, those are the brush strokes, okay? They're not super technical, so you got a 3, an E, a parenthesis, and a comma, okay? Those are the brush strokes that I'm using here. And my base coats are still fairly wet. That it's moving just fine. Okay, so you see how it kind of transformed the just plain flat looking bob into, it's got a little bit of movement. Your eyes are, it's like I said, it's like an impression more than a realistic flower. You're starting to see a variation of color in there, and that's creating the illusion of petals. I can't wait to see. Oh, the bricks. Okay, so I'm thinking we're going to do that Tuesday over in the paint studio. Um, hey, Becca Boo. We're going to do that. I think we're going to do that as long as everything goes fine tomorrow. Tomorrow's mom's big day. As long as everything goes fine tomorrow, I'm going to sneak away while she's resting. And I'm going to probably hang out with y'all in the studio and do that Tuesday. I don't know what time. Probably midday. Terry, you'll probably be asleep. I know. I'm sad about it. Um, let's see. I have a stencil of bricks I think I can use. Yes. Okay. So a stencil will work just fine. And I'm going to show you a technique that I've seen my mom do with different materials way back in the day. And then we played around with at the retreat that we just had back in July. We had a blast doing it, and everybody seemed to have an easy time doing it on their own. So I feel like this is going to be a huge success for us in the studio. Getting getting to learn how to paint brick. It's going to be so much fun. These are bigger bricks, so I'm really excited to show y'all how to get a nice big masonry brick painted. It's going to be so much fun, and I promise you, you're going to start painting bricks on everything. All right, same process. You're just not going to do as many. You're just kind of wherever there's what I call a dead spot. Okay, wherever there seems to be an awkward dark spot, you're going to throw just white. You don't have to necessarily go straight from the bottle white. If you want to kind of mute it down by making a darker shade of that mixed color that we just made, go for it. But sometimes you can't go light enough. So white is how I normally go. I like to just use straight from the bottle white. So let's take a little recap before I do this last flower. So that was step one, or actually step two, because our step one was making the blob of just our base coat color, right? So that was step one, was the blob. This is step two, and these two are step three, okay? So let me finish this one up. And like I said, I'm just using the very tip of my round brush. It's a size 6 round brush. Well, I think I like that one the most. And there we go. So now we're going to let that dry. And I think our next step, let's throw some leaves in. Now that we've got our flowers, let's throw some filler in. And then once we've got our filler, which are the leaves, they're going to be really simple, easy to paint leaves. Once we have our leaves in, we'll come in and put some little buds in there to kind of break up and balance out this pink color, okay? So for the green, should we do a foliage green or a brighter green? I have a couple of options with green. I have leaf green, which is probably my favorite for this color scheme. Or, let's see, Sherry brought me sour apple, which is what we need for a paint studio this month. So which one should we use? Or should we use both? Because I really think these will work together just fine. Yes. Okay. So Nancy, the brick. Okay. So the brick, when I told my mom what we did at the social, at the paint studio social, the little retreat, the 1-day retreat that we did last month, I told her that I taught how to paint brick. She goes, "Oh, that'd be really pretty with flowers." I said, "Well, that was my intention." But then the more that idea evolved, I was like, I didn't want it to be just for flowers. I was like, we could totally do this right here on top of a brick background, right? This would be so much fun on a brick background. And, but I didn't want to go too deep with tutorial. I wanted everybody to have fun. So I felt we'll learn one technique and we'll build on that. Base and dark, highlight. Yes. Okay. Terry, that's where my brain was going whenever I had them side by side. I was like, you know what? They kind of look like they would work well together. So let's go. We're going to do leaf green as the base and sour apple, which can be a little translucent sometimes, which will make a great highlight color. Okay. So the way I like to do this is I like an angle brush. And I have a couple options of angles in here. I think this one right here will probably be my best bet for this size project. Let me see. Yeah. I think the other one is just going to be too big. Let me see. I don't know. Hold on. Let me see. Let's test drive this. Nope, I think this one is the bigger size. I think we're going to go with that size. We can always make smaller ones with the smaller brush. Okay, so we're going to load our brush up with leaf green. And then let's see. I think I'm going to put it on the heel of the brush some lighter green. I can always go with some yellow too. I do have one yellow in my, no, I have two. I have the one we need for studio, and then I picked up a lighter yellow. Let me move this water out of the way. There we go. Now the trick to these leaves is light pressure and a nice little swoop. Light pressure and a nice little swoop. And I don't always like covering up my vines. I like to have a little bit of a peekaboo. But if there's a spot where I'm just like, I don't like how those vines transition, I can cut, like right here. I don't like this spot. They got real muddled right here. I don't like it at all. We're going to hide them. So let me go ahead and load my brush back up. All right. And I like to do at least 2 to 3 leaves on each flower. And since I don't like this spot at all, I'm going to do probably 3 on this one. Do 1 on the inside. Now the way this works is you lead with the heel of your brush. You lead with it. So you put it down flat, but don't put pressure down. And you kind of draw a heel. So let me see if I can. So you kind of draw a heel. So you see just a little bit of a bump. No pressure at all. Draw a heel, okay? And as you get to the bottom, as you come down that heel, you start to turn your brush really hard and you pull a point. And they always turn out a little different, and a little different depending on the shape of your project. Like this right here is curved, so they have kind of a curve to them. This is flat, so they are a little bit they're a little bit more flowy on this. Let's see. I'm going to put 4 on this one. I'm going to bring this out just a little bit. There we go. Ooh, that one turned out good. I'm going to come back up here and repaint that because the way I have my brush loaded, I like the way that this light green is kind of bouncing. Okay. Remember, don't put down a lot of pressure. In fact, I need to back up on my brush because if you notice I was way down here, that's a no-no. There's a reason they put the grippies a little further up. You need to be at least this far away from your paintbrush bristles, unless you really need a tight rein on your range of motion. If you want something to have flow and movement, you need to back up on your brush because otherwise you're going to choke the brush stroke, okay? Don't choke the brush stroke. You've got to get some movement in there. So we're going to be at least this far back, if not farther, depending on how big you need them, okay? So here we go. Okay, I need to load my brush up again. Okay, I want this to come out just a little bit. And another one here. Like I said, you just start filling it in. There we go. So far, that's what we're working with. How's it looking so far? Do you think this is something that you could do? I know this is a little different than what we paint on a daily basis, but do you think this is something that you could do if you practiced it? So far, we've done squiggles, we've done blobs, we done wiggles, threes, e's, commas, and parentheses, right? And now we did a heel and a pull. So if you break down your brush strokes into, Nancy says most definitely. If you break it down into simplified motions, it makes it a lot easier for your brain and your hand to communicate with each other. If you try to learn by watching other people paint and you just watch them do something that they've been doing for 30 years and it's just muscle memory for them, they're not even thinking about it, then you're missing a vital step. You're missing how they learned, right? You're missing the thing that helped them connect. Oh, the aha moments, right? So the aha moments really come into breaking it down to where your brain comprehends what your hand should be doing. So, like I said, these right here, just wiggle, 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 wiggle. Just loose, light pressure. I cannot drive that home enough. Light pressure, okay? That makes a huge difference in your end result on everything you do. The heavier the pressure, the restricted motion that you have in your brush strokes. The more choked up on the brush that you are, the restricted you are on the brush strokes. The more you pull back on the brush, the more you lighten up on the pressure. That's where all the flow and the ease of it comes in. That's the part that a lot of people have a lot of trouble with letting go of that part of the control. it's not as easy. I'm not going to lie. It's going to take practice. You're going to need to practice, but it does get, oh, I just loaded my brush the wrong way. I put the light color on the toe of my brush and not the heel of my brush. Okay, here we go. So we're going to put there, and we're going to put the light color on the heel. I'm just going to keep loading up that light color until I get the color that I want. You notice I have the entire brush loaded up with the dark color. Okay, so I'm going to just randomly throw just some leaves in there, okay? I'm just going to kind of throw my leaves in there in the direction that I want them to point. So I want them to curve around in a counterclockwise motion. It doesn't matter if it goes clockwise or counterclockwise. Just pick a direction and have your brush strokes go in that direction. These are not perfect leaves. These are, like I said, they're impression. They're giving the illusion of leaves. Just something real quick, real easy, something for us to just bump and pull. Just to get our creative brains moving. And so the way that I'm kind of figuring out where to put these extra leaves is I'm just looking for the void, the big voids, okay? There's not a lot of distance here compared to here between elements, okay? So all this right here is one element. This right here, the vine, all one element. The flower, one element. Each leaf, an element, right? I look for the biggest void between two elements. So from here to here is about double the distance between here and here. So I'm going to put my leaf somewhere in this void just to kind of break up. Look at me, super choked up on the brush. If I want, I can come in and put another leaf, but I don't necessarily want it on this vine because let's look at it. Just take a good look at it, step away from it, take a good look, and see if I were to put a leaf here, it would be going in this direction, right? And I feel like if I put anything here, it's going to come too far into this and it's going to look uneven. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it on the rose. So I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to make it look like it's just another leaf off of that rose. That way it breaks up the elements a little bit without coming into my center circle here. Because eventually I don't know what I'm going to put there, but I think I'm going to put this in my Bible. I think this is going to, y'all know me. I like to put some of my painted pieces that I do on Mixed Media. I like to make them art in my Bible, in my journaling Bible. And I think that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to put either a Bible verse there or I'm going to put a something there. I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay. So there we go. Now, do y'all think it needs some little rosebuds, some little impression rosebuds? Or do you think it looks fine the way it is? This would be cute in a junk journal page. Marie, you and I were on the same page. I just read your comment. Let's see. I love the explanation. Oh, you're welcome, Carol. That's honestly that I feel like when I watch other people paint, especially when I was learning back when I was younger, I don't feel like anybody really explained the way, like what they were doing. They just said, okay, you're going to do this. And they just did it. But they weren't explaining really the mechanics of all of it. And it took so long for me to learn certain things and rosebuds for sure. Pam said, and yes. Okay. Pam and Terry are my two, they come from the same world that I come from. So I highly appreciate their feedback. So let's go ahead. I'm saying I don't everybody else, but we have similar painting styles. So if they say let's go, let's go. Mama Pam says let's do this. So I'm going to take. Okay, if you ever look at rosebuds, they're darker than the actual flower. Okay, so you're going to take the darkest color, even though this one's kind of translucent. You're going to take the darkest color that we've played with here. We're just going to load our brush up. We did not water this one down. This is straight from the bottle. Okay. And I might put, hold on, I'm going to put a little bit of our lighter color. Not a lot, just a little bit. And let's see, we're going to put little clusters. Okay, nothing crazy. We're just going to put little clusters, almost like holly berries. I'm not trying to make them super, like I said, this is really impression. This is not anything, nothing realistic. We're just putting just a little bit of color. And it's okay if it goes over your leaves. There we go. I'm going to make another triangle. One here, one here, one here. Remember, whenever you're doing a wreath, you never want to go point, point, point. Okay? You always want to turn your triangles off to an angle. They don't need to be perfect triangles. All right. I think I'm happy with it. Is there anything else that it needs? Can anybody? I don't like this leaf. This leaf is driving me crazy. I may have to go back and fix that one. It's one of those. It's really catching my eye, and my brain won't let it go. So let's fix that. And here's the danger with going and doing what I'm doing. This can end well. This can end poor. Okay. This is where things go awry whenever we as artists can't let go of our imperfections. This leaf can get bigger and bigger and bigger with every brush stroke, and that's dangerous. Okay. This looks fine just the way it is, but my brain keeps zoning in right there and it's driving me crazy. So we're going to do it. We're going to do it. I'm probably going to regret doing it, but we're going to do it. Can anybody else relate to that? That I went one step too far? Have you ever painted something and you're like, oh, it's cute, except for that one spot. Hold on, let me go fix it. And then you're like, a whole bottle of paint spills everywhere. Or you sneeze in the middle of a brush stroke and then all of a sudden your brush goes, ah. That's what's about to happen here. I just know it. Okay, everybody hold breath. Turn your head just right. It just didn't change. It's exactly the same. We're going to leave it alone. It didn't even change. We're going to leave it alone. My hand obviously doesn't know how to paint in that direction. Okay. We're just going to leave it alone. Is there anything else that you think that it needs? I think letter. Marie Mosley, you shut your mouth. You can come over here and letter it. Y'all know I don't letter. I don't hand letter. In fact, that's what I originally got this napkin out for, because I don't have any tracing paper or anything like that. But I was like, ooh, I can put it on my phone and like zoom in and like lightly trace it through. This napkin is cheap enough. It's a Dollar Tree napkin. It's cheap enough that I can see my phone through it, and I can lightly trace that and make it tracing paper. But I was like, I don't think I'm going that far today. Let's see. I love it. Make it easy. I love that. Oh, thank you, Sherry. Let's see. I'm telling you, come on, Marie. Drive 9 more hours my way and come letter this for me. I will gladly turn it over so you can letter the word hope or peace or something in there. Okay. I think we're done for the day. I think we've done as much damage as we can do. I do believe that we will probably build on this. I probably seal it, and I'll probably put this in my journal, my journaling Bible. I don't know what I'm going to add some notes on the back end. That's what I usually use these for, is I use to add notes in my journaling Bible. But as of right now, we're going to let this dry. And like I said, I don't have a blow dryer, so it's going to have to do the slow boat to China on this one and just let it air dry. And there's some thick elements on this because we put some paint down on it. But that's what we've got today. The white in the bottom left row looks like oh, I gotta move it. Looks like a face. This one? Which one? That one. It does. Look, there's a nose. It reminds me of the Alice in Wonderland. You know, the ones that sing? Now that you say that, I see it. I see it. Let's see. What? Oh, wait. I heard somebody say the word template. I'll send you a template. Okay. You send me a template, and what should we do? Like, what word should go on this? If we could pick one word to be the centerpiece of this, what should we put? Marie needs something to hand letter. She says that she'll send me a tracer for it. Terry says giggles. Is that you giggling, or is that you saying that the word giggles should be in the middle? Peace. You know, that's her word. Love. That's my mom's word, is peace. Every Christmas she gets a new Christmas ornament with the word peace on it. Be still and know. Praise. Ooh, I like praise. So one of my favorite praise and worship songs, it's not one that you would normally sing in like church. Oh, Anna got a like on hers. Okay, so far Anna's is winning, y'all. If you didn't put an option down, if you like or love your favorite option that someone is offering up, so far we've got peace. We're gonna say Terry put up giggles. We've got giggles, peace, love, be still and know, praise. Me giggling at your face in the flowers. Okay, I still like the word giggles in the middle. Mary says hope. So if y'all will, if you don't have a word to offer as an option, if you will put in your vote by liking or loving someone else's option, then I'm going to ask my friend Marie Mosley, who is an amazing hand letterer. And if y'all have not seen the boxes that she did, so just recently, if you go over to her page, the Creative Palette, the Crafty Palette. If you go over to her page, the Crafty Palette, Marie, if you want, tag your page down below. She just finished a bunch of keepsake boxes. Her grandfather passed away, and they did a 21 gun salute. And I can just picture Marie after the funeral's over going and picking up each individual shell. I don't know if that's something that they do, or if that's like as a member of him, you go back and do. I know at both of my grandfather's funerals, nobody handed us a bunch of shotgun shells. So I just have this mental image of Marie going and picking them up with this very amazing idea in her brain. And what she did was she got little keepsake boxes and she stained them and she hand lettered her own hand lettering each person's name on each box. And she put one of the shotgun shells from the funeral in the box. And I mean, like, I saw them and I wanted to start crying. Ooh, Faith. Ooh, Joy. Y'all are coming up with some good ones. I agree, Sheila and Sherry. I loved the boxes. I'm kind of upset that I did not think my cousin and I picked them up. I can just see y'all after a funeral when everybody disperses, just beep, beep, like little Easter eggs. Okay, so far, praise and joy have the most votes. So it looks like praise. Okay, Marie, if you love me, if you don't mind, in your amazing hand lettering, if you could put down the word praise, I would love you forever and ever. Amen. I love you forever, anyways. But that's a neat idea. And in it, like, her brain is just so creative, and in such a bittersweet moment, she was like, "Ooh, I could do something with those shotgun shells." I just love it. I just love her so much. Alrighty, I think Daddy is looking at me, waiting to go see Mama. So I think we're gonna go check on the old lady and see how she's doing today, and spend some time with her before she goes into surgery tomorrow. She'll be in surgery tomorrow afternoon. If you get a moment to yourself, and if you wouldn't mind sending up a quick prayer for my mom and the doctors and all the hands that'll be taking care of her while she is Miss Terry says, "Hey, Daddy." Hey. I would greatly appreciate it. But until then, I will see y'all next time. Bye.